Good morning. It is me, Pearl from Pearl and the Prayers, and this is Tuned In Tarot. Excuse me. And we're about to take a look at the balance between the divine masculine and divine feminine sides of self, understanding that whatever state we find this energy in, we can expect to see that reflected back to us in our interactions with others, in our external environment. So if we come here to watch these readings about a person, we can learn things about that person, but it's only because we are gaining an understanding of our own energy inside of ourselves and how if we are in a certain place, people around us are going to be in a certain place. So think about your own energy when you're hearing this. It will be reflected back to you, so you will be able to understand those around you. So that's how this works. I'm rocking my lion's mane today. This is called I Didn't Wash or Brush My Hair for Days. Lucky me. It's like straw. Don't worry about it. Okay, let's get started. This is Obstacles Removed Wednesday. So we are going to take a look for each of the sides of self at what is blocking us from leveling up, from moving into the next phase in our relationships and our career, in our spiritual enlightenment. And we'll start with divine feminine energy. I don't know why I guess I just decided that. Usually it doesn't matter. Okay, we're starting that. So we're just looking at headspace and heart space at the same time. I'm using two different decks. I have the Fountain Tarot in the headspace, and I have the Crow Tarot in the heart space. And this is the general energy surrounding where she feels blocked. So it's not exactly, we can't see quite yet what is blocking her. That's going to be the first position, but this is the energy around it. What's really interesting is I see divine feminine truly enlightened because of the sun card is here, enlightened about what causes her or prevents her maybe from receiving joy. I got a new coffee bean, same company, but like just a different roast. And it is very good, but it tastes like dark chocolate, like the bitter, like it's very complex and bold, but yikes. Anyway, I digress. So divine feminine is experiencing enlightenment that there is joy and happiness available to her, but she tends to protect herself from receiving it. So she's feeling like she's still trying to learn exactly why this is present, and yet this is what her experience feels like. Like she still feels like she's in this barren place, surrounded by her thoughts, kind of, blind to how to see exactly how to leave this prison and step out into the sunshine. I just got the D-Minder app as I was recommended by one of my new friends. And this is so interesting because when I put all my information in, I was like, wow, I do nothing to expose myself to this very valuable vitamin creation of my body by being outside in the sun, which is what all plants need to do. So why am I not doing that right? Okay, so just this general energy of divine feminine's like, I can be happy, and yet I can't quite see how that is working out, and I can't quite see exactly how to do that. So here's her hidden assistance. This is what's going to help her through figuring out exactly how to lower these boundaries or step outside of this mental prison that's keeping her trapped here. The first thing in her headspace is that she's really tuned into her heart space. This is the high priestess. So she's very intuitive, psychic. She's spiritually balanced. And in the heart space, we're getting the King of Pentacles in reverse. So we're seeing that she's not attached to any specific one masculine energy, which is really liberating because being attached to one specific energy, of course, keeps you in this prison and she wants to break free, right? I just heard Queen's song when, I don't know what album it's on. It's probably one of the ones in the 90s because it has that sonic sound, I think, but it's break free these barriers of pain, break free from this through the sunshine, from the rain, something like that. That's in my head. I don't know what album it is, but you might want to find that song because it probably has more messages there. But she wants to break out of this mental prison of being attached to, I guess, what her happiness maybe looks like, and heal the inner child wounds that is keeping her. And so what's really going to help her is trusting herself and not being attached to any specific one individual, which is also about releasing the ego. Because we have to, this card, when we see the King of Pentacles in reverse, the King of Pentacles is a really lovely energy, just like the King of Cups. He's the protector, provider. There's abundance here. He's procreative. He's, has a lot of vitality. I mean, that's, I guess, more King of Wands, but he's going to be able to, he's fertile. And when he's in his shadow, he's very egotistical. He's very attached to how his outward appearance is. So if you're here because you're trying to remove an obstacle in regards to a relationship, it can be like you have the specific person in mind, and if you're not with that person, it's your ego is not served by it. If it's a career, you have there was something you identified with for a long time, but then when you went inside and you were like, wait, this isn't even authentic to me. So the hidden assistance is not being attached, is trusting yourself, trusting the knowing, and not being attached to the outcome, releasing the ego's fears that keep you trapped and not receiving when good things come to you. You're used to uncomfortable places, right? This is what you put the blindfold on because there's all this lack around you normally. And when things are good, you're like, I don't know if I can trust this. But what's really helping you right now is that you can trust yourself. You do know. You are tuned in. Okay, so where did this block originate? Remember, if you're watching, this is your feminine side of self. So if you're a masculine watching, this applies to you. And if you're a feminine watching, this applies to you, and it goes both ways. So just keep that in mind as we're doing this. So if you're thinking about a person when you come here and you don't pay as much attention to the feminine side of the reading because you're just trying to find out about your person, I know a lot of times people pay attention to the feminine side because they want to make sure they connect with the energy when I start talking about the masculine. But you can apply this side to your masculine. Your masculine is also trying to figure out how to get out of his own mental entrapment regarding his own ego and worries and concerns about his reputation. And he can trust himself, and he knows he can make the right choices. That is so don't dismiss the feminine side because you, like the rest of our society, dismiss the feminine. The feminine side is equally important to get an entire understanding of these readings. And I guarantee you, if you come here and you're like, I don't understand, my person isn't coming, and this isn't reflected here, it's because you don't understand that all of this information applies to you as a whole person, that you're continuing to experience these cycling things with your masculine energy. Okay. I just felt like I have to say that. First position is, where did this block that's keeping you from being able to really, truly tune into your happiness, where did it originate from? We are seeing the Fool in reverse and the Six of Pentacles upright. So this is dealing with issues of reciprocity, equal give and take, investing in self. We see the Fool as a card when it's upright that has kind of a joyful abandon to it, particularly in this deck from the Fountain, which has gorgeous artwork. I highly recommend both of these decks. That coffee, don't put hair on my chest. The Fool in reverse. Okay, so the Fool upright is about new beginnings. It's about just taking a leap, feeling supported, like the universe is going to catch you. And there are there's like typically there's a dog that's portrayed, which is about, it can be about companionship and loyalty, but it can also be about getting a warning, because like this little dog, you can't tell if it's barking in caution or warning to this energy, or if it's like encouraging the, like, it's going to be okay, let's go, kind of a thing. And it kind of depends as a reader where you feel it, that energy. When you get a reversal on the Fool energy, 8:33 on the clock, it can be about releasing feelings of foolishness, but it's, for me, usually about being like very cautious, very, very cautious. So Divine Feminine's boundaries are up because she's really, really cautious, and this is very good, about making sure that her heart is receiving as much as she's giving. And from the empaths in this community, I am very happy about that. So sometimes when you see an obstacle like this, it's coming from a healthy place, but there's like a little bit of an overdrive going on, right? Because you were like, unless I get what I put in, I'm not gonna fall for that. I'm not gonna be foolish enough. Like, I gotta see a return on my investment, which is good. But what's happening is there's some aspect of this that's preventing you from being happy right now in the present moment. And you might still be awaiting this exact replica of what you think is going to make you happy, right? It has to look exactly like this, which is why the hidden assistance for removing this block is not being attached to what it looks like. That's extremely important. So don't freak out. This doesn't mean like, oh no, I can't have this person or whatever. It's not that simple. There are so many subtleties that you are attached to: how the person communicates, the timeline from which they communicate, the order of events that happen before you arrive in union with that person or job or whatever. You're very attached. You think, okay, well, I've asked for this. I did every single day. I've done, I don't chase, I attract, everything. And I'm doing all the affirmations, which is good because I'm believing them, but I should see exactly what I want. But that's only because you think that this is exactly what you should have. It's exactly what you want. On the outside, the things that you put in your fantasy, that seems like what you want. But you have to trust that there is this higher version of yourself that's like, no. Imagine if I had given you what you wanted when you were 26, or 16, Remember when you were like 12 and you were like, I wish it could be Christmas every day. And then Christmas wouldn't have been fucking special at all. I mean, maybe I could have extended it for a month. I did that for you. I literally started Christmas in July. I started Halloween in the year before Halloween even started for you. Like every holiday you've wanted, I've even done that, the universe is telling you. It wasn't exactly what you wanted, but I knew that if I gave you Halloween and Christmas every single day, it would just be like you were in the Nightmare Before Christmas all the time. It would get boring, right? So trust me, I know that the 6-year-old version of yourself probably doesn't know exactly what's going to make you feel what it is you're asking for. Security, prosperity, family, happiness, wholeness. So trust me, the divine is saying to you, I know what is up, okay? I know what is the what. You don't know shit. You know why you don't know shit? You're not all consciousness in this body. You're just stuck in your ego thinking that you're this one individual. But I did that so you could have fun. And you're having fun, aren't you? And you're like, I don't know. I don't know if this is fun or not. I'm not sure. But you got to take the blindfold off so you can see that it is fun. It's a lot of fun. And you do get what you ask for. It just, especially if you release the attachment to what it's supposed to look like, then you're filled with joy. I have a lot of crown chakra pressure right now. This is making me feel dizzy. Okay, so where did this block originate? Eight of Swords. Are you going to do this to me all day, Divine and Feminine? You know what these synchronicities are about in these decks? I realized part of it is just, for me, self-indulgence of wanting to have a lot of tarot decks and giving them to myself or getting them as gifts, which is also giving them to myself because I allowed myself to receive them. Partially about that, but it's partially about these moments that are supposed to give you faith, because there's this point where in these readings there are so many moments of synchronicity that it becomes almost ridiculous for you not to believe in it. It's like, okay. 8 of Swords. So this is how it's currently manifesting. How is the block currently manifesting? Exactly how we asked, what's the general energy surrounding the block? Well, the general energy surrounding your block is you are isolating yourself from others, most likely, or protecting yourself from someone. And who is it? This guy. Now, this is not just a guy, and guy is not gender specific. We're looking at masculine energy, but this is fast moving motion, and it is truth and honesty. So you're being super honest with yourself about a masculine energy that has likely moved too fast or made moves before they could follow through, or came in and told you the truth about something and you're like, oh shit, like I don't know if I can handle this now because it's moving a little too fast for me, and I'm very, very much feeling overwhelmed and uncertain, and also I can't see the outcome. Like this energy is trying to bring me this clarity, but I'm kind of blinded to it because I keep thinking about this barren desert I've been in, even though this energy of being totally honest with myself or receiving clarity or information is going to bring me joy. This could also be giving information, needing to tell the truth to yourself or to another person. The next position that's coming up is what will help remove this block, right? Yes. The Divine Masculine and the 8 of motherfucking Wands. And why am I cussing? Because for Christ's sake, of course, this will fix this. If the Divine Masculine will communicate whatever it is we're protecting ourselves from, which is pure joy. Do you see? That was my phone. The device for which we communicate, or with which we communicate, rather. So you're, as someone identifying in feminine energy right now, you've got a like no shit kind of feeling. You're like, no shit, this will remove the block. If this Divine Masculine communicates with me and tells me what the fuck is going on, then I won't be in the dark anymore, and I won't need to protect myself from the joy that this Divine Masculine inside of self is prepared to give me. And you're like, so all that Divine Masculine needs to do is talk to me. But then I'm going to bring you back to the part of this reading that makes obstacles removed so special. Yes, the Divine Masculine must express to you in order to enter into a connection. Yes, you, feminine, must express your masculine energy in order to come out of this place where you are protecting yourself from your joy. You must integrate this energy. You must feel like an emperor with a solid foundation. You must be bold. You must take steps to command an empire. You must feel confident. And you must communicate in your life and express to others in your life this energy within yourself, and not rely on someone outside of you to feel this worth. Okay? So don't get salty. Like, oh, this person's supposed to do this. No, you that are watching this are supposed to do this. Nobody else. You. And if you don't understand how you must do that, pearlsprayers.com, we can figure it out. There's personal readings there. You can just ask questions. I answer all the questions I can when I can. Okay. Let us continue. Who Or what should I release from my past to move on? This is fascinating. The Wheel of Fortune and the World. So this is about change, divine timing, good luck, abundance, prosperity. This is about ending cycles. It's the completion of the major arcana. We have the lemniscates here. We have 2 of them actually, to remind us of the eternal cycling that is present throughout our lives. The tarot always represents a spiritual journey. If you came here and you think you're just going to work on your spiritual journey for a few months until you come into union with your person, you'll probably go into a separation again, because tarot isn't telling you how to come into union with your person, or, it's not telling you any of that. It's telling you your spiritual journey, and you will be on your spiritual journey for all time. So you are experiencing one life cycle right now, one pattern, one experience, and you're very fixated on it. And you are, this position specifically is who or what should I release from my past? So I think that you 8:44 on the clock, you need to release the idea that this past energy you might be attached to, your vision of your future, what you thought your future should hold, what you thought should encompass your world or bring you joy, that you must release the attachment to that. Because the specifics have caused you to come to a halt. You can't quite close out the cycle or end the cycle because you're not accepting the gifts. This is reminding me of Christmas. You're not accepting the gifts that the universe is giving you, because you're looking the gift horse in the mouth. You're going, that's not what I said. For instance, spending this time with you here today, and I love doing this. I had my day off yesterday, and I don't read cards at all on Tuesdays, because I try to give myself an energetic break and force myself to just take the day off and not answer comments and not, it's difficult, especially if I'm just alone, which I usually am. And this morning when I woke up, I couldn't wait to do tarot, to get back to work, to do this work. Now, I also am a musician. That's my other job. And I was supposed to be in the studio today, but vocally, I just can tell that some of the vocal stuff I need to do, I just want my voice to be a little bit better for it. So I canceled and rescheduled the session a couple of days ago. And I'm going to still work on music today. I just won't be recording. But my desire to work on tarot lately trumps my desire to work on music, which is surprising to me because my ego identifies with my role as a musician. And I do love that job, and it's not like I don't want to do it, but I used to think that that was my only happiness, that if I wasn't a top 40 selling artist before I died, that I would never be happy. I used to insist on that. My sister would be like, well, what if you just played in cafes for your whole life and everybody loved it and it was special? Wouldn't that be enough? And I would be like, no. And she'd be like, why? And I would be like, because lots of people need to hear this music. Why? What if only 2 people heard it and they were like, it changed my life, thank you. That should be enough. But for your ego, it's not. And so you have to release this idea of what you thought your future should hold, because that is keeping you stuck. You can hear how I definitely couldn't be singing today. And I keep smoking weed. Interesting. Isn't it? My addiction blocking me from experiencing joy, because it would have been a lot of fun to be in the studio today. What can I learn from this current pause? Oh. This is the Fountain, which is an added card, an additional card to the Fountain Tarot. It's obviously where the whole name of the deck comes from. So it is the most important. And it's actually more of a completion because it's after the World card, which is what you needed to release, right? The idea of what your future should hold. This is, what are you learning? The ultimate composition. The Fountain is composed, it's everything. Sometimes it represents the internet because it's like that collective consciousness. But for me, it's really about this alignment, about knowing that there is this connection to the source. This is what you're learning, and that is where all happiness comes from. Simply tuning into that. You can be happy in the middle of in the eye of a hurricane. There is stillness, right? And when you can meditate during any external distractions, you get to the silence and the stillness. This is what you're learning. You're also learning this Knight of Cups energy in reverse. You're learning how to open yourself to receive something that you have felt unworthy to receive, either love or emotion, feelings, expression. Just there's learning this give and receive energy, specifically in regards to your relationship with your emotional well-being, health and well-being. And learning to go with the flow. The Fountain is the source where it's like the water that flows into the cup. It comes from this fountain. And look how you can have two drastically different decks and such a beautiful cohesion in the colors in that moment where all things come together. What do I have to look forward to once I remove this block? The Nine of Pentacles, upright, which is an energy associated with finally being able to receive a reward, having worked very hard, and really having your independence, not being dependent on any energy materially, but having your own sense of material abundance and prosperity. This can be about if you're releasing a specific future potential. That could be a certain person. So now you're single as well. You're on your own and you're able to welcome new energy. And in the heart space, we're seeing the Chariot in reverse. So you could be pulling back the reins on something that was going forward because you realize that if you're honest with yourself, what you're trying to achieve is actually hurting you in some way. It's not really truly authentic to you, or the promises it carries are not true. And so you might be pulling the reins back on some fast moving energy that's been coming towards you. You could also just be looking at still being a bit challenged about surrendering control of the ego to the divine. It's still going to be something that you're going to be working on balancing. Okay. And this is sometimes associated with twin flame because of the white and the black horse, which represents that masculine and feminine energy pulling together in a team. And it can be about releasing your twin flame as well and just focusing on your own growth. I have a lot of crown energy from that. So that's probably true for a lot of you, and some of you that might be painful because I felt like pressure. Okay. Let's look at divine masculine. So the energy surrounding the thing that divine masculine needs to release, we're using the Ethereal Visions Tarot in the headspace and the Rachel True Intuitive Heart Tarot in the heart space. Two really great decks. This energy surrounding where divine masculine is blocked it's an extreme burden for him. He feels emotionally overwhelmed, and there's issues with communication here. He wants to communicate everything that's in his heart space, but this is where he's feeling very blocked, and it's a huge burden for him. Here is the hidden assistance. We have the Knight of Wands in reverse in the headspace and Strength upright in the heart space. So he's releasing any of this childish, immature, sexually underdeveloped, I don't want to say inconsistent, player energy, any of that. He's got it under control. So his assistance right now is that, and his tendency to do what the Knight of Wands does, which is like hoovering, I think they call it, where, you know, you keep somebody on the hook by, you just keep dangling these carrots and like sucking them back in after they're like, no, I can't do this anymore. And you're like, getting them back. So getting control over the part of himself that feels his ego, over his ego, which was doing this, which was trying to like keep divine feminine from going anywhere without really having any way of sticking around, because he had commitment issues that were expressing either externally as third-party energy that he was still with or connected to or trying to disconnect from, or a job or a career that he was like, you know, like a workaholic, whatever it is, was the excuse that made it impossible for him to stick around. So he's controlling now the part of himself that would engage in this behavior. And this is going to really help him with this block. Now let's look and see what the block is. So, or where did the block originate? You know, I realized I've been reading this wrong. It doesn't matter because I borrowed the style that I used for the release and rebuild, which is hidden assistance. But this, which is interesting. Okay, so the block is coming in on the fourth position. Okay, so Nine of Wands. So where did this block originate? This block originated in this Nine of Wands energy in the headspace and Eight of Cups in the heart space. So he walked away from something. And in this card in particular, there are not broken or damaged cups. All these cups actually look like they're in pretty good shape. Over here, we have a Two of Cups with 3 here, and we have 3 cups over here. So there could be, he walked away from third-party energy. He walked away from a family. There's definitely this sense that he had to walk away towards his higher calling and isolate himself and go off and be alone and try to heal these wounds and try to tend to these wounds. And during this time, and I think also because he had to do this, it's like he thought he could just do this and then walk right up to the feminine energy or walk right into the career that he wanted to walk into or something. But he had a lot of healing that was still left to do. And so he engaged in inconsistent energy because he was like, I'm ready. And then was like, shit, I'm not ready. All that stuff that was going on was simply an indication that I had healing that needed to take place. So how is this currently manifesting in the 3D? The 5 of Cups upright and the 7 of Cups in the heart space. Sadness and confusion. Not knowing which cup to choose. Not knowing how to, I think, bring about the fulfillment of these cups here behind them. He's really focused on this loss here of how he's, and this isn't necessarily him being sad about like the past, but focusing on how he's handled things, because we've got that hidden assistance is that he's releasing his inconsistency. And so I feel that he's focusing on all the ways he spilled the cups instead of being kind of more focused on the fact that they're here still behind him. He has only to reach out and choose. but he's feeling confused about why he made the choices he made. He's feeling confused about this, right? If we're looking at the feminine side of self, why he prevented himself from being able to choose to go forward into whatever his higher calling is, why it's taken him so long, or why he's chosen to do this on his own and separate from that feminine energy and not work with her. The next position is, what will help me remove the block? We have the Page of Wands in reverse and the Two of Swords in reverse. So actually making a decision is going to be very helpful. But this is the Page of Wands in reverse is releasing. It can be immaturity, but I think it's really about small communication. So choosing not to engage in these very limiting small communications, but actually going deeper, actually bringing more maturity to the communication, to the way he communicates, releasing fears that his choice is going to hurt someone. If he chooses to speak more, if he chooses to reveal more of himself, he's afraid he's going to hurt someone, and he's got to release this fear. Okay, now we're looking at who or what he needs to release in order to move on. The Devil, I can't make this up, upright in the headspace, and the Three of Swords in the heart space. So this is definitely, there's addiction here for a lot in the collective. Now, a lot of us jump to third-party energy and karmic situation, but it's more just toxic behaviors that hurt ourselves. So if your masculine is engaging with karmic partners, it still falls in under the whole umbrella of addictions to things that wound us or hurt ourselves. I don't really feel that the divine masculine is having a whole lot of trouble with sexual energy, because the hidden assistance is he's controlling the Knight of Wands in reverse, which is also impulse control as well, by the way, controlling our impulses. I think that it's more about releasing this hurting ourselves thing, self-harm. And we think a lot of times we address one problem, we'll address weight loss as a source of self-harm, for instance. We might, and this can go both ways, we might either feel we need to stop engaging in food behaviors that are harming our body, which increase our weight. And we might also realize that depriving ourselves has the same amount of pain and hurtfulness associated with it as no longer engaging in behaviors where we're consuming too much. So there's a balance that needs to be achieved, right? But we can be addicted to either behavior. We can be addicted to anything, and we tend to judge people's addictions, and there's truly, all addictions are equal. It is a fixation that you have that harms you and potentially others as it becomes more extreme. Some people are addicted to really violent behaviors that cause obvious wounds and harm, and we can judge those things. But almost every single addiction is insidious and causes long-term harm and repercussions, even if it doesn't appear to be grotesque to us or we judge it that way. So the block for divine masculine is definitely about releasing this tendency towards harming himself, which ends up harming others. What is he learning from this current pause? He got 2 cards here in the headspace. We're getting the 2 of Wands upright and the 6 of Wands upright. And then we are getting the 6 of Cups in reverse. So he's learning how to become successful on this journey, to have victory over these behaviors, to have victory over that ego, that toxic energy. But he's learning to do that by asking for something and then following this path towards that higher calling. Look at the path. So that he can achieve victory and bring about public recognition of this experience, this past experience that he had. So he wants to be victorious over this past energy. This is also could be associated with a card of reunion and stuff for the twins. And this is, of course, a twin flame thing. And this can be about bringing about the reunion. But I also really think that this is about a loss of innocence. So this is him having an understanding that the journey that he's been on really has been about achieving a victory over his loss of innocence. Whatever was taken from him or stolen from him, achieving victory over this wound so that he can progress forward in his life and isn't held back by these wounds anymore, which is exactly what this card is. The healed inner child that Divine Feminine is wanting to experience. Divine Masculine is acutely aware that this is what he's learning in this current pause. And it's because of the twin flame journey. But that does not mean that the person that has caused him to have this is his ultimate end. It's just the journey that is what is most important. And then what he has to look forward to once this obstacle is removed is the Four of Cups and the Devil. This is so interesting because it was the obstacle, right? And the obstacle is here. But it can't be the obstacle anymore. Now it has to be the light that comes from the Devil card, which is pleasure, the ability to receive pleasure. And it's being able to finally receive this cup. So Divine Masculine, this can be really specific. There can be a small amount of people in the collective who have issues with having sexual addiction. And when you have sexual addiction, you're constantly seeking out these self-harming experiences, but not feeling fulfilled. And if you can remove the self-harming aspect of sexual pleasure and instead receive this cup from the divine, which is sacred sexual union, and have your actual fantasies fulfilled instead of these meaningless actions that really don't make us feel fulfilled or don't give us pleasure. They make us feel bad. It's like we convince ourselves, oh, I really want cake. This is from, I had one of the wounds I've healed has been binge eating. And so in the past, I'd be like, I really want a cake. I just want a cake. And then I would have guilt and shame associated with that because I had a fat body. So obviously I'm not allowed to eat anything that brings me pleasure because I'm so fat and so disgusting and so lazy and so horrible and have no willpower that if I eat any sugar, I should just be shot in the head. And y'all know that I'm not exaggerating. The extreme shame associated with eating pleasurable things in front of others when you are fat. Experiencing this judgment from everyone for the things that they do and hide and maybe have the privilege of their body not expressing, right? So I would want cake, but I would feel shame to eat it. So I would buy an entire cake and then I would eat a piece of it. And every bite of it would be filled with shame. So the thing I was seeking, which was joy, comfort, the happiness associated with eating birthday cake or celebrating which, it's totally fine. That's what fucking cake exists for. Every single bite would destroy me. And so I'd have to have another piece because now I didn't get what I needed, which also included nutrition, which wasn't in that cake. I didn't get spiritual nourishment because I berated myself for eating it. And I didn't experience any transmutation of the pain I was feeling because I just loaded on a whole new layer of pain and didn't quite manage to get to the heart of what was bothering me. The only thing I got, and this is a valid thing, and it's worth it sometimes, is numbing. I numbed myself during this completely sensory experience that's going to completely take up my mind, because my mouth and my eyes and my body are having an experience that is consuming. I will be numb during this time that I'm consuming this from the pain I'm inflicting. That's the only benefit. And sometimes it's necessary, right? I had a severe back injury. If I didn't have a way to numb the pain, I couldn't find a way to move my body in yoga poses. I couldn't walk to start to heal. Sometimes some amount of numbing is appropriate. And if you can take the shame out of that, you take the exaggerated, fixated, devilish aspects out of addiction. If I did what I do now, which is I had my groceries delivered yesterday and I got a piece of pumpkin spice cake. And I ate some of it with no shame and no anxiety and no worry. And I did, because I've started to intuitive eat and I've released my fears about it. It's still there because it's old and learned behaviors. But what happens is, if those thoughts pop into my head, I'll be like, oh, really? You still think that way? And then I'll be like, no, I don't. That's just a habit, right? But my experience is I still have over 3/4. It was a piece of cake, like just one piece of cake. And I still have 3/4 of it left. It would never have happened before. So allowing yourself to experience pleasure takes the toxicity away from receiving pleasure. All right, so that's where divine masculine is. Let's go to divine feminine now, and we'll take a look at what is blocking her from sacred sexual union and what will help open her to receive that, and the rest of her oracles. The Seven of Swords is blocking divine feminine from sacred sexual union. So she feels like she has to hide it, or be secretive about it. Like she can't really openly engage in any kind of relationship. And I'm sensing it's because she feels guilty that if divine masculine sees her engaging in some kind of third party energy or situation, that he will be jealous of that. I think that also if she wants to be with this specific masculine energy, that there have been some circumstances where this has to be hidden or secret, and she doesn't want to be a secret when she engages in sacred sexual union. So she's blocked by secrecy and deception. What will bring her out of this and release her from this is justice. So this can be accepting, it's 9/11 on the clock, accepting that karmically, for her to engage in outside energy is not unfair. It's not. Divine feminine is open and ready to receive from the masculine who is not taking action. That is the state of the separation that we are all in, is it not? If the divine masculine does not take action, the divine feminine is not bound to wait to receive. She's not. So she has to embrace that it is fair for her to be able to have open relationships. And I don't mean that in terms of multiple partners, but it could. I could. I just mean in the open. It is absolutely appropriate for her to have sacred sexual union. And the other aspect is within this situation, when justice is served, which is divine masculine does reveal to her the information that has been hidden, he apologizes, he brings justice to the union, and it becomes not secret, then she can engage in sacred union with this specific masculine energy. So those are the two things I'm getting for divine feminine. Divine feminine, you are in the shadow attributes right now of the angels. So you're acting innocent or angelic to mislead others, and you could be falsely claiming to be in touch with angelic guidance. I don't feel that so much as I feel like right now you have an expectation that you have helped out this masculine by doing a lot of healing, that you have laid the path and you've literally given him every single instruction to follow to get to your doorstep and get you and be with you. It's like I've helped him. I've been holding his hand every step of the way. And I've been doing it because I expected him to show up. And so when he doesn't show up, now I begrudge the help that I gave him. That's happening for some of us in the collective. And that is where you're stuck. Because until you just help the masculine energy from a place of unconditional love, like if you knew right now, like if your angel appeared to you and said, hey, you got to go help your divine masculine by doing this and this and this, but it's not going to result in your union. Instead, he's going to meet this amazing soulmate and they're going to have an incredible life together. But if you don't have these experiences with him, he won't be able to do that. And he will be sad and die miserably alone. You would have to say, okay, I will do that for my masculine energy. And you'd have to control your ego because your ego would very much be like, no, I'm supposed to be the happy person that he heals for. And the divine is like, no. You're just supposed to help him heal so that he can get to this place. And if you find yourself being like, well, what do I get out of it? You can find the place where you need to heal. Because what you got out of it is that you love this person, right? Close your eyes. Picture them. Do you love them unconditionally? You think you do. Picture them with someone else. Do you still love them? You can't expect a return on something you invested, which was really for you. Because when we give to others, the giving itself is a receiving experience. We receive pleasure and happiness from enhancing and expanding their experience. Practice makes perfect. If you don't practice the skills you're learning, how will you be able to do this with a masculine energy that you're trying to call in? I feel a lot like Divine Feminine is really protecting herself from these experiences to practice her skills because of guilt she feels about this relationship and being so fixated on this one outcome. But you need to practice your skills that you have acquired. And if masculine isn't activating and showing up, how can you practice with him? Find somebody to practice with. They need to practice too. And you need to approach relationships this way. Not like you're using people, but like you're benefiting from experiencing one another's triggers and wounds so that you're like, oh, you know, this happened to me before and I learned how to get through it this way. And this person taught me that. And I have a lot of gratitude for that relationship now. There is nothing sexier than my authentic truth. This was in reverse. I feel like this is part of the ego thing where you are convinced that the person you want or the job you want or something, it's like the sexiest version of yourself. Like it's like this glamorous thing. It's such an ego-based experience of it. You're like, there's nothing sexier than this fantasy, than my projected, what I think my future holds. And the universe is like, no, there's nothing sexier than your authentic truth, which the ego never gives you. The ego doesn't live in a place of truth. It lives in a place of fear and fantasy, which is fine. We need it. We work with it. We're supposed to work with it. It's the lion in the strength card, right? Everybody watched fucking Tiger King. Everybody wants a big cat, even though they're scared of them. They want it. It seems cool. It's like, man, that's fucking so cool. They are cool, but they can eat you alive if you don't have a relationship with them where they respect you and respect your higher calling. You have to tame the ego and get it to work with you. It doesn't ever tell you anything about your authentic truth. It gives you little glimpses of your truth, but it distorts it because its job is to make sure you feel separate so that you're actually continue playing the game. Otherwise, you're just the consciousness, not really here doing anything. Healing. I'm tired. Are you tired? I'm tired because we've been healing for a long time and we're going to keep healing. I just watched, this was my day off yesterday. Okay. I was supposed to get my puppy. Didn't happen. Don't you love this experience? Still waiting for that check also, by the way. Speaking of which, please support me. pearlspairs.com. Click on the support button. You can send small gratuities. Every little bit helps. There's a place where you can buy me a deck. You can book personal services there and listen to my music and do all the things because this is my main gig and I do need to be supported by this. And so I didn't get my puppy, and honestly, I didn't check my mailbox, but I have a feeling that it's probably here. If it comes, it's coming today. But regardless, and then I watched. So I couldn't read and I couldn't work, and because it's my day off, and I had to force myself not to work because working is pseudo socially interactive, right? So I was like, okay, I guess I'll just sit here and wait for things to happen. Which I could have gone out. I could have done some things if I wanted to, but I did not. I did my laundry and I watched the 100-foot wave on HBO, which I have no idea. I do not care about surfing. I have no idea why I watched it, except that I always have nightmares about tsunamis and like huge waves. And I guess I just wanted to see video footage of really big waves and try to wrap my brain around it. And it was like 6 episodes long. But it was really incredible, the whole thing, the whole experience. And the main character, it's a reality, it's a documentary, but the main dude had to experience a lot of healing because he had really fucking terrible injuries from falling down 100-foot waves every time. Like, what are you doing? Like, obviously you're going to get hurt when you do that, but you seek that thrill, right? They're like, once you've had an experience like that, you can't quite articulate it. It's so ineffable. And so you just keep doing it, even if you get hurt. And you keep challenging yourself to reach for more and try to surf bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger waves and realize that that's where your joy is, right? And it's a lot about ego, being the one that got the biggest wave, risking your life even though you have this family at home, but also feeling called like you have to do it. Anyway, it was a beautiful and amazing, incredible documentary, and I'm glad I watched it. And it really emphasized to me the purpose and function of healing, because whenever he would be injured, it would be because he was dealing with fear, the fear from the fall that he had just had. And he would have to mentally heal. He would have to overcome the PTSD from the experience in order to get back up on the board and do it again. So you are doing it and you want to get hurt and heal, because that is how you learn and that is how you reach for things, and how you become less and less likely to get hurt, because you become more and more of an expert as you keep practicing these skills. What do you need to release? You need to release the idea that you know what your future holds. Release it. You don't. You have no idea. You've asked for something. The only thing you know is this joy is available to you right now in this present moment, regardless of what happens in the future. There is no past. There is no future. There is only right this minute. How can you mother yourself? So you might need to just work on this nurturing. I was called to talk about food today and eating. So there's probably some of us here that are having issues with nourishment or nourishing ourselves. Understanding that when a baby cries, 9:22 on the clock. We, as a parent or guardian, we seek to fulfill its needs, and the first needs we look for are: is the baby hungry? Does the baby need its body like change so that it feels more comfortable, like something about what it's wearing, or like, does it need to be warmer? Does it need to be cooler? Does the baby need to be held and rocked and soothed? Those are all comforting behaviors, and they predominantly involve food and eating. So when you get this card, either you're depriving yourself of actual nourishment, which is very common, things that you crave, you're denying it because you're afraid of the consequences of those things, even though it's the fear of the consequences that is actually causing you to experience the consequences. You can be afraid to accept comfort from others. So you have to kind of explore here, what are the ways that one good way is to ask yourself, what do I think this other person is going to give me? Like, why do I need this person so much? Why do I need them to be physically here? Why do I need them to call me? So I need attention. I need physical affection. Identify the things you are trying to get from your person, and understand that you're probably trying to get that from the mothering side of self, soothing, comforting. It's okay to help others comfort and soothe themselves. That's literally my job. You call me to receive comfort on your journey, to be seen, for me to say, I see you. I know what it feels like to be attached to a person that seems to be doing things that are really toxic. I understand that feeling of not understanding why that happened. So I see you, right? And I'm completely not judgmental. I don't carry any judgments about people. I'm completely open. So you feel safe with me. And then I soothe you when you're afraid, because I can see through my gift that you're going to be okay by your ability to learn to soothe yourself. Like, it's okay to help people do that, but you want to be able to start to get those skills yourself and not expect others to always be doing that for you. Flamingo Spirit is coming out with embrace the in-between. And we're going to read the protection message for this one because it's not one I get often. Can we turn the page? There we go. Okay. I think the page wouldn't turn. If you're feeling nervous and wobbly, stop worrying about the past and the future. It's like I'm channeling energy from the divine and telling you in real time or something. Instead, be present in the moment, balancing, for now is the space in which creativity arises. Creativity is your birthright, but if you're moving too quickly, look it. Slowing the chariot down, right? If you're moving too quickly in an attempt to avoid the discomfort of transition, you can blind yourself to the miraculous possibilities that are before you now, and those just coming into being. The past has its lessons and planning has its merits. But right now you may be imbalanced because you're becoming too nostalgic for what once was, or too anxious about what the future might hold. I'm dead. I am dead. I remember watching psychics when I was young and being like, oh my God, that's so incredible. And now every day I'm like, what the hell? It's not about me, folks. I'm not doing anything except just moving my mouth, which is the only thing I'm extraordinarily good at. God was like, that one, her mouth never stops. I'll be able to get all of my messages out of that one. All right. Wow. Okay. The past has its lessons and planning has its merits. There is time to plan this. There is time to plan carefully. For now, be still and know that Spirit is here co-creating with you in this moment. The next step will appear when it needs to appear. Relax into a state of equanimity and balance. So any anxiety can transmute into trust and faith that all will be as it will for the highest good. Dang. Dang. All right. And then dang again. Because Divine Feminine, where did you have? Oh, yeah, you had justice in the sexual energy. Okay. So opening and closing a door for the feminine. Here is the door that needs to be opened or closed. This is the Three of Swords from the Tarot of the 78 Doors. Why is it so blurry? This camera sucks ass. If you want to send me a new camera, let me know. All right. So in this image, we have what we would, I guess, culturally call the old maid energy, if we're going to be just super ageist and horrible. But that's how we're supposed to feel, because we're supposed to associate these negative connotations with a person who is alone and of course there's nothing worse than elderly women in our culture, even though elderly men just turn into silver foxes. But regardless, we've got this image here of somebody that's alone, and she seems bitter because she's sticking pins into a doll that we're assuming is some kind of a magic thing, and she's sticking them right into the chest, and it's actually a feminine with long blonde hair. Here we have in this image. And so this to me is the fear inside of yourself that you will end up alone, and also that wouldn't be something that was fun and good and happy. And I think that is something that really needs to be embraced in this moment right now, that we have been told culturally that if we don't couple, we are worthless, as females in particular, but just generally speaking, but definitely females. If you don't couple, then you should just fucking die. And there's no reason for you to have existed at all. Why did you even come here? Is the attitude that you feel. And it's completely an illusion. You can have an incredible life that's completely fulfilling in an independent manner. You can do all of the things that people who are coupled can do. So it's a super limiting belief, and it just comes from our culture, which is really trying to suppress the feminine independence so we can control the population, which is not very effective, as you have seen in our current reality. So we have to close this door on these beliefs that we're going to end up miserable, bitter, alone. That is actually what's hurting the feminine energy, to think that being all on her own is somehow the worst thing. And it can also be about just having a lot of heartache associated with a certain experience. And you're actually just wounding yourself by constantly focusing on how much it hurts, right? There was a song on my DMs playlist today about how do you hold something that hurts, sort of song. And I was like, gee whiz, I don't know. And here's the key to this door. So the key to closing the door on this bitterness is, first of all, learning the lesson that I just said. Your life isn't over if you experience wonderful things every minute by yourself. Like, it's still amazing and valid. You're also not alone. That's the illusion. So learning those lessons, balancing out, and accepting your justice, because I think part of you is afraid to finally get what your just rewards should be, your just desserts. And that's what you're opening up to as you release this idea of what your future should look like. You're actually allowing the justice that you deserve to be done. If you have felt you weren't worthy, then how do you know the extent of the rewards that are coming to you? And how can you be open to them if you feel undeserving, right? So open up to allowing this justice to be done on your behalf, Divine Feminine. Okay, Divine Masculine, let's help you out. Your sexual energy, where you are blocked, what you need to release in your sexual energy is, in order to come into sacred sexual union, the Father of Swords energy. So you are extremely detached from your emotions. You're you are approaching sexual union in a cold and calculating way, either cutting off all potential options for sexual union because of the same kind of guilt associated with it that divine feminine has, or engaging in extremely just emotionally detached physical 9:33 on the clock physical engagements that are just completely not fulfilling, don't connect you, or you can be experiencing only sexual energy in the headspace. So you're thinking a lot, you're fantasizing a lot about that energy, but you're not actually taking any action towards it. And the thing that will help you release this detached energy is the sun in reverse. So that's 2 times here for the sun, which is very auspicious for the reading. And this is about there's enlightenment, there's allowing yourself to be I think there's healing of a child energy too because of this that comes with the sun. There's no child on here, so it's not emphasizing that as much for me, but I should mention it because I do associate healing inner child with this. This is holding yourself back from your spiritual fulfillment and bliss. This is literally what sacred union would feel like. So I think you're cutting out all sexual energy. You're actually just cutting off every kind of sexual energy. And what would free you, what would liberate you is just allowing yourself to actually have the sacred union that you long for, which you know you can't have if you are completely detached from your emotions. So it's like really healing and bringing enlightenment to how you've approached sexual energy in the past. You might have experienced a deep inner child wound that actually caused you to disassociate from sex completely, and so you only engage in it as a like a almost a purely analytical way. It's like, this is sex, we do this to meet this physical need. It's like it also could be just like the mental stimulating, like you're just only engaging in sex that's like just mental stimulation, so it's like fantasy, etc. It's allowing yourself to actually experience union will release this detachment for you. You're in the light attributes right now of the warrior. So you have strength, skill, discipline, and toughness of will, heroism, stoicism, and self-sacrifice and conquering the ego, which we saw you're working on. That's literally what your block is, what you're releasing is completely conquering that ego. And as illustrated here, which is your hidden resistance. So you are fighting the good fight right now. And you are actually in the light attributes of the hedonist. So again, this is exactly this. If the devil is coming out in its light as something to look forward to, then it's being in this energy where you allow yourself to receive pleasure, inspires creative energy to embrace the good things in life, and celebrates the beauty in yourself. So it's allowing yourself to just experience the things that you have been desiring to just indulge in, but not in a way that is self-destructive. Mother Teresa is here. We got how to mother yourself and also Mother Teresa in reverse. So the same kind of energy coming from masculine. If the feminine side of self is needing to mother self, then the masculine who is watching needs to invite the feminine energy to mother themselves, right? Or the masculine side of self needs the mothering energy. So this could be, how do I mother the masculine side a little bit more? How am I a little bit more nurturing? How do I give the attention and the affection and the soothing and comforting that the masculine energy needs in order to take action? And divine masculine has to answer this himself. So if the person watching is identifying strongly in the masculine energy, he has to answer the same question: how do I mother myself? He has to understand that he needs to give himself the support, the recognition, the security in order to feel comfortable enough to act, which he must get not by expecting divine feminine to give him that, but by soothing himself, not needing the feminine to do it, but being able to tap into that energy. And if he needs help, he can ask Saint Mother Teresa for help, not this individual person on the earth. Every time divine masculine goes to the feminine person, not the energy, which is the divine feminine, but the person that he is associating the feminine energy with, he depletes that energy. He drains her energy because this divine masculine isn't taking the action to give back. He is only taking. It is absolutely appropriate for you to seek help when you cannot soothe yourself, but it is not appropriate to seek it from the person. You must seek it from the divine. There's a lot of divine feminine energies up there in different incarnations that are willing to work with you. Call them in. Do not deplete your actual feminine. That is what is causing you to cycle through these patterns. Same thing for the feminine. If you need your masculine energy to make you feel safe and secure, call on those energies of the divine to come in, not the person. So if you are feeling like, oh, I lost my job and I don't know what I'm going to do, but as soon as I'm with my divine masculine, then my financial security will be taken care of because I want to be somebody who is just taken care of and supported. Well, bully for you. Get taken care of and supported by the divine masculine energy that permeates through the universe. Don't fucking put it on another person. That is what they're doing to you. Do you understand? So you definitely need to seek this energy within the self, not from the person that you externalize this energy with. When I think I've surrendered, surrender more. Just when you think, well, I've done all the things, do more. Do more. Whenever I hear myself saying to my friends, like, I'm working so hard every day, nothing is happening, I step back from that and I'm like, am I? Is there something I'm putting a lot of effort into that's clearly not working and I'm considering that work, but not doing something else that would really help me? Maybe I need to surrender some more. Maybe I need to work a little more and just assess if what I'm working on is really helping me or is it hindering me? Trust, truth, trust and truth. We need truth to be able to trust. Divine masculine, this is definitely trusting in the reflection of self. Trusting when these cards come out in union. The experience you're having is a spiritual awareness of your connection to all things. Believing in that. Trusting in the feminine is very hard for you to do because when you look in the mirror, you cannot trust yourself. You have lived a long time in many deceptions, some of them really quite large and awe-inspiring, and some very, very small and insidious. And when we live our lives like that, we feel everyone around us does. And likely a lot of the people that we are externally around in our environment do. So if you've been divine masculine, if you've been living lies, keeping secrets, not being authentic, not telling your truth, you can look around at every single person who is in your inner circle right now and see a reflection. It is likely a lot of your friends are very deceptive, that they aren't honoring themselves or their truth, that they are hiding addictions or, immersing themselves in addictions. That look around. Release these people from your lives as you release this energy from your life. But everything around you is truly a reflection. Balance, spirituality, and practicality. Here I see a masculine that is focused on the practicality and not tuning into the spirit, because the truth card was in reverse, which is a high priestess card for me. And I feel that they're having a hard time really connecting and trusting in spirit right now and are focused much more on how if they can just get a hold of the practical environment, then will they feel fulfilled enough to do what it is that they are desiring to do. So balance what is practical with what is spiritual. Feminine usually has to go the other way. She's all up in airy fairyland and like la 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 la. And it's like, bitch, okay, write it down in your fucking planner though. You know, are you really gonna make that app? Are you really gonna design that course? Are you really gonna do that? Or are you just like la, 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 la. Meanwhile, masculine is like, I'm doing the things, I'm working, I'm making all these physical maneuvers, and they're not actually progressing him because they are not spiritually motivated. They are motivated by the material and the ego. Don't dim your light to fit in. This is how are you dimming your light in order to fit in? If the people around you are distorted, then you're probably making yourself distorted so that you can fit in. Is that where you want to be? Be fearless and bold, divine masculine. This is the 4 card, which is also associated with the Emperor. And we know that for this reading, the obstacle, in order for the obstacle for the feminine to be removed of protecting herself from receiving, the masculine must be in the Emperor energy and communicate. So he must be bold, he must come forward. So let's see what the message is for this. Badger spirit rejoices at your persistence and commitment to what is true for you. Whatever you seek, your tenacity and faith in your partnership with spirit is paying off, and the results will soon coalesce into form in your world. The gift of Badger spirit is the surety that taking a risk now and being courageous, fearless, and bold will yield wondrous results. This is a time to harness your will and apply it consistently to the pursuit of your dreams. Know that no matter the temporary outer conditions, you will manifest your desires in divine timing and in the form that spirit deems best for you. Badger spirit says you have what it takes to get what you want, so assert yourself. Be fearless and be bold, shining your light as your purpose calls you into the world. New relationships are also given a green light now. Don't be afraid to make the first move. Badger spirit loves your brave and mighty heart. All right. Make the first move, divine masculine. I don't know. I can't tell you that anymore. I'm exhausted. Utterly. Okay. So here's the door that needs to be opened or closed for the masculine energy. Yeah. The King of Swords. Hey, look at who the divine masculine is visiting. You know, I've never noticed in this deck before that he's visiting someone who reminds me of the door that divine feminine is needing to close. Look at that. Here's the doors for the 2 of them today. The divine feminine hurting herself, the divine masculine appearing before this feminine energy to communicate with her. There's a bag here. This could be a doctor. This could be a healing energy. Divine masculine has to heal the relationship that has caused the feminine to become embittered and to experience this heartache. So divine masculine needs to explain and communicate with the feminine about the wounds that have been caused. And the key to opening this door is the 3 of Wands. So this is about having patience. I'm so struck by this image because of the freaking documentary I was talking about. The 100-foot wave, which prominently features this ancient lighthouse from the 1500s. Obviously, this is not that, but it's such a prominent image. And the whole thing that the whole reason they use the lighthouse is they have to go up on the cliff and spot for the jet skis that tow the surfers onto these big waves. And it's like an extremely vital position, and it's very difficult to predict as you're watching the waves come in. It's very difficult to predict which wave is going to be the best wave to take to be able to get the surfer the notoriety they need to get their sponsorships and everything. So it's like a very intense and difficult position, but you can see the entire ocean around where the waves are coming in. So you can see that wave, that they call it a set. They're like, there's a big set coming your way. Okay. So the thing that will help divine masculine be able to work up this courage to go forward to the divine feminine and communicate with her about the heartache that has been caused is the trust and faith that he can see that big set coming in for them. That after he reveals the healing that has had to take place, and after he does the work that it's going to take to heal that side of self, the emotional side of self that has felt betrayed, that has felt repressed, that has felt kept in the cold, you will be able to get that big wave and surf it together, okay, into the fucking sunset. I was watching that documentary yesterday, like, what the fuck am I watching this for? Hours and hours of these people talking about this strange, like, I never cared about surfing in my life, but just be present. You can learn a lot every moment. Then I watched, oh my God, I didn't realize that they had all of the History Channel shit on Hulu. I mean, obviously, but I wasn't paying attention. And they have those stupid documentaries like the Nostradamus effect or whatever. I started watching that last night and I was like, wow. As an art historian and a historian to a certain extent and a spiritualist and a spiritual historian, I was watching that and just being like, this is the worst. This is like Ancient Aliens for Nostradamus. It was so bad. Anyway, it's fun to watch though. I love that shit. It's so fun. Okay, let's look now at the final closing cards for the union. We are looking at what is blocking the union from sacred sexual union. What is blocking the two of you? Ta-da! The fucking 10 of Cups in reverse. I'm exhausted. Are y'all exhausted? This is exhausting. Not giving yourselves what you desire, not believing in your fulfillment. It's like, if you can't see it, you can't believe it, but you have to believe it to see it. And you're feeling like it's difficult for you to see this potential for your spiritual fulfillment in any of the partners that are presenting themselves. And there is a fixation on there being like one permutation of this experience and then not giving it to yourself, not being able to give it to yourself. So what will help you release this inability to really be? This is basically like the experience of sacred sexual union. And what's stopping you from that? No communication. If you finally end this period of not communicating, you shall be able to come into union. So if you're not communicating with any other energy that would be a potential place of creativity or sexual union, then you're not able to go into a sacred sexual union. If you start communicating with potential energy about your desires, you will be able to go into this place of sexual union. And it will be sacred. You don't have to be afraid that it's going to hurt you because you're healed. You've learned lessons, so you're not accepting. Remember, your block was beautiful. Like the place where the block originated is like, I know my worth, bitch, and I'm not accepting anything less. So I'm being really cautious. And because of that, you're not going to end up having a terrible sexual experience. So keep that in mind. You've healed the wounds that you've needed to heal. So start expressing your desires. You're in the light attributes of the thief right now. Both of you have shed light on the potential wealth within you that can never be stolen. You're no longer feeling that you lack love or that somebody is going to be able to take it from you because you have really learned that it is your self-love that must be in place for you to truly be in an emotionally bonded connection with someone else. This is in reverse today. God, love. This is an emphasis here of calling you back to your center, having you choose love. You got that you are believing this wealth that can never be stolen. It's because you know that it doesn't come from outside of self. You know that it comes from within. It comes from your intimate union with the divine, no matter what you call that energy. Happiness is my birthright. This is in reverse. Your joy card, your sun card, your 10 of cups, they're all in reverse because you are doubting, right? This is the emotional side of self. Doubting that it's supposed to be happy and have what it desires, right? But happiness is your birthright. You have only to allow it to happen. Look, you got the love card again. Wow. And this time upright. This is the love of self. The first card was God's love, which is all that you needed. You don't need more than God's love. God's love allows you to love self. And that you can call this is just the God card, but you can call that whatever you want. You can call that goddess. You can call it Allah. You can call it the horned God. You can call it whatever you want. Love is extremely present for the two of you right now. New romantic cycle begins. Okay, bitch. Love, love, love in a new romantic cycle. And look at justice, balance. You've been training for this for lifetimes. You have achieved a high level of success. Once you release this burden, your union is imminent. You have only to know your worth. Remember, this is skunk spirit. Not everybody's going to love the way you smell, but it doesn't matter. You know someone's going to smell your funk and love it, right? As Childish Gambino says. You are absolutely worth more than you can possibly imagine. Know this. Hold on to this. And don't let any outside opinions affect your ability to come together in love. This is really interesting. The door that needs to be opened is the Ace of Cups, which is love. We just got love, 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 and more love. And where does the love come from? It comes from your salvation that comes through this connection with the divine. This door that you want to open, what's the key? Flying away from your fears and anxieties that have kept you trapped in this prison of your own fears, releasing them, realizing you're free to go. You can choose love at any point in time. This is literally choose love or choose fear. All you have to do is choose. The door is open. You just have to go. And stop doing this, which is what we worked on today. So I'm pretty confident that you're going to be able to do it. All right. That is all she wrote. Thank you so much for joining me here today. You can find me here again on Friday for the release and rebuild spread, where we will take the energy of this release, fully release it with the Empress side, and then rebuild from the masculine side of self. On Saturday, I will do a reading with Grace Strega. It's usually been around noon to 1 p.m. Pacific Coast time. And it will be a half an hour check-in, and then we will read cards for people on Instagram Live. We have been doing about 30 minutes on TikTok just before, so you can probably catch us on either place that day. I will be doing a Tell Me Everything spread on Sunday. I might do one tomorrow. It really depends. That one is kind of my wildcard day. But either way, you'll find me. So go to pearlsprayers.com to find all of my social media for my band, which is Pearl and the Prayers, and Tuned In Tarot, which has its own separate tab with all of its information. You can book services there. And I'm going to be working with my assistant tomorrow to set up a schedule so that you can just go see the weekly schedule of readings. And then you'll know what's going on every single week. So I'm working on that for you. I think that is everything. Please go listen to my music, Pearl and the Prayers. It's Me, Babe. Every time you listen to that song and share that song, that helps me more than all the money in the world, because my dream is really to get that music to as many people as possible who need to hear it. So please go stream that for me. And again, if you want to to share some abundance with me, all of that is available for you on my website. So thank you so much. I shall see you here on Friday, and I'll probably see you over on Instagram and TikTok tomorrow. Oh, 6 days a week on TikTok, Pearl's Prayers. I do mini readings, 3-minute readings, and then I do like spontaneous live readings. So you'll probably be able to get your cards right over there, but it's fast and furious over there. So good luck. But all the messages usually have meaning for everyone. So that's the benefit to sharing a collective with a bunch of people. All right, I will see you soon. Take care. Have a glorious day today.